Hi. So this is Geoverse. It's been a while since my last long recording, and college definitely has been busy, but I do want to get into a more regular uploading routine. I have been uploading shorts, as many of you have hopefully seen, um, and that is something I'm certainly going to be continuing, but I do want to just also quickly announce that I am going to be returning to doing long uploads on a semi-regular basis. I think it's going to be a mix of different types of content. And so look forward to that. So this time we are doing an exam run through. And so this is the CSET exam. This is being actively offered at regionals around the US right now. And so CSET of questions. This is at a regional in Eastern Washington, which is happening this Saturday. And so also, if you're seeing this, you can also see that there is been a bit of a change in the site formatting for international academic competitions and for the U.S. Geography Championships. The old site, as far as I know, has not been updated since last year, and so all the information for regionals is going to be found in this, at least for the varsity and junior varsity events. If you're looking for middle and elementary school, then it's going to be right over here. And so you're going to want to refer to these when it comes to looking for like when and where to register. There's several regionals like around like a number of places, and so I definitely think that like everyone should be generally afforded the opportunity. We're still at the beginning of the season, so and if you're wondering about the sets, so Set C is generally the easiest, B is the middle one, and this applies for all of the competitions, by the way. And A is generally the hardest, so you can see like more of these championship type things are taking place around that time. And you can also see that there's a few of these online tests. And so I don't know if these offer the Geography Championships test. As far as I can tell, they're only History B and History Bowl. So essentially, the exam is going to be pretty much in person this year. Um, and so keep that in mind. I will link this in the description. Um, yeah, yeah. And so what we're going to be doing is just going through this test. Um, I am not going to time this. I'm going to run through the B and A exams later, and we're going to be timing those. But I'm just going to try and just go through this as fast as I can. And so it's pretty late right now, but I will start a timer right after I go through this beginning part. So you have your name, your grade, your affiliation, and both varsity and junior varsity take this, and middle schoolers who compete in the junior varsity division for the high school events can also qualify for middle school and elementary nationals through this exam. And so keep that in mind. Um, and so without further ado, let me go ahead and start my timer right. Stopwatch, sorry, right now. Okay. So, what direction will you primarily travel to get from Washington, D.C. to St. Louis? This is really a question of knowing where these are relative to each other. Washington, D.C. is kind of in the middle of the U.S., between Virginia and Maryland. And so, I would say, compared to St. Louis, which is also in the middle of the U.S., but just in Missouri, which is pretty much directly west. And so, you think going by state borders, Virginia, you go straight west, you get to Kentucky, you go straight west of Kentucky, you get to Illinois and Missouri. And so it's pretty much west. And so I'm going to put, in this answer you have one is D. And so for question two, which of these is the most populous city in New Zealand? Okay, so this is a knowledge check. Like, no external hints, no nothing. You need to know, like, largest cities. And we will go over this in another video. But essentially, you need to know the largest city in each of these countries. If I remember correctly, it's been a while. I'm pretty sure it's Auckland. It might be Christchurch, but I'm pretty sure it's Auckland. Um, so, Red Square and St. Basil's Cathedral are landmarks in what European city? Again, knowledge check. Like, a lot of these are basic knowledge checks, and they're really looking for whether or not you know stuff. Like, plain and simple. Like there's no context clues, there's nothing, no tricks like in AP exams. It's just raw knowledge. And so this is another one. This one's Moscow, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Moscow. Um, yeah. And so which of these is a primate city? And so this is a definition question. And so you have a definition, one that serves as a center of its country's culture, government, and economy. Sometimes they might just ask primate city, and that's a knowledge check. And so this one, thankfully, is not. And given that they provide the definition of a primate city, we can just take this and refer to this. And we're looking for a center of culture, government, and economy. Center of government alone rules out everything but Mexico City. So we can just go with that. Okay. So for this, number 5, smallest overall economy and economic output. So this is, again, part knowledge check, part inference. So you really want to think about what countries are like big in trade and exports, like just in general from what you know. China is China, obviously not the answer to this. South Korea and Japan both have major like industries and export relations with the US as well. North Korea is like called the Hermit Kingdom and is infamous for its lack of trade, and so that's easily the answer here. Number 6 is a free trade agreement among which of the following nations? The US, Japan, and Thailand. Okay, so this is essentially the new version of NAFTA. I'm not sure. I think this is still there in place. But essentially, this is again knowledge check, but can also be inferred. If you know that this is the replacement of NAFTA, then you already know that it's going to be US, Canada, Mexico. But you can also kind of infer that it's US, Mexico, Canada agreement. So there's that too. And so that's an alternate route sometimes. Number 7, which of these is not okay? Caused by the action of glaciers. This is our first physical geography question. We're going to go over this. This is usually content checks, and these are the hardest like of the content checks. Obviously, this one's not too hard because even if you don't know what a drumlin or fjord or U-shaped valley is, like atolls or islands, like everyone has probably heard, well, most people have probably heard of Bikini Atoll, which is where there was bomb testing by the U.S. and that is a ring, quote unquote, island, and so that's pretty easily atolls because Bikini Atoll is also like in a very tropical location. Biscayne and Everglades, knowledge check. Everglades should be a big yellow red flag. That's Florida, which is B here. Which of these is the most populous city in Louisiana? Okay, so first off, all of these cities are in Louisiana, so don't try and eliminate stuff like that. This is really just basic geography, and that's what a lot of this test boils down to. I kind of talked about this in my previous video, but this is really just basic geography at the end of the day. So it's probably going to be it's going to be New Orleans. So let's put that in. And our next question: largest religion in Japan. Knowledge check again. Definitely not Catholicism. Definitely not Islam. Definitely not Sikhism. Shinto by process of elimination. Mont Blanc is the highest mountain in what European range? And so, again, this is a knowledge check of where Mont Blanc is. And so let's look at these. Olympus range, definitely not. And if you know where Mont Blanc is, it's kind of around the French, Swiss, Italian border. So if you know that, then you can easily say it's the Alps. But by process of elimination, you kind of need to know where Mount Mont Blanc is, actually, looking at this. Okay, so number 12, Iolani Palace, USS Arizona, and Waikiki Beach are among tourist attractions in what American city? So these are all big red flags that you should probably know for this state and for the city. The answer is Honolulu. I'd say the biggest flag is USS Arizona because, and this also ties to the history B, this is kind of like the most famous ship out of the ships that were sunk in the Pearl Harbor attack in 1941. the day that will live in infamy. And so Honolulu, and also none of these other cities are Hawaiian. Number 13, besides Spanish, which of these is a major language of Mexico? So this is kind of, I'd say this one's a little tricky if you don't really know like a little bit about the regional. If you overthink this, then it's tricky. If not, then it's kind of process of elimination again. Like Portuguese, definitely not. French, definitely not. Italian, definitely not. So that leaves Nahuatl. You can also know Nahuatl if you know that it is a indigenous tongue spoken in Mexico and in nearby countries. So there's that. Um, at least I'm pretty sure it's Nahuatl. We'll find out later. And so number 14, longest river in Australia. Knowledge check again. It's going to be a Murray. A lot of these questions, looking at my time, my video is also going really long, and so I will leave it up to you to look into why some of these other options are wrong. But generally speaking, if you know like about like options like in questions, then process of elimination is a great starting point for narrowing down options, and that can be really helpful when it comes to just figuring out the answer to like questions you might have trouble with. So 15, which of these? Knowledge check again, and process of elimination too. All of these are in Egypt except Petra. So let's go with that. Visiting natural areas in a responsible and sustainable way. Knowledge check again. Ecotourism. Yeah, a lot of these are simple if you know it. If you don't, then you're kind of lost. Kilimanjaro and Serengeti are in Tanzania. And so Humboldt, Kuroshio, these are all ocean currents. Vatican City is surrounded by Rome. 2 Caribbean nations on the island of Hispaniola. None of these other countries are on a island divided between 2 countries except these 2. So even if you don't know that those 2 are on Hispaniola, then you kind of can infer based on the question. So does not have a significant portion. Uruguay, Amazon is in northern Southern America. India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar all border the Bay of Bengal. Accra is the capital of Ghana. All of these share land borders with Vietnam except D, India. Tallest waterfall in the world. That's another fact check. Angel Falls. And by the way, I'm going to point this out that I'm pretty sure Victoria Falls is the largest by volume. So this is tallest, this is largest, and this is in Zambia and Zimbabwe, if I remember correctly. I think so. So just keep that in mind. Grand Canyon carved out by the Colorado. Oopsie. There we go. Not a member of NATO. Obviously Russia. Former citadel of the Inca Empire. Machu Picchu. I don't believe any of these other ones are Incan, so there's that too. Immigration. Push factors. This is a demographic term again. These terms are always kind of tough if you don't know like what they're talking about, but you can kind of infer this one. That push factor is what makes someone emigrate. And so actually might include which of the following. Well, okay, so I think this is a little weirdly worded, but you can also play odd one out, and like even if you don't know what a push factor is, you can look at these and see that war, poverty, and famine are all super similar, and educational opportunity is like not any of these. So like you can probably just put that in if you don't know, and so we'll go with that. Suez Canal connects Mediterranean, Red Sea. scroll down a bit. 10 highest mountains are all in Alaska. If you know Mount Denali is in Alaska, then you can just go from there. The Taklamakan Desert is in... Okay. Mongolia's desert is Gobi. Cambodia and Vietnam don't have deserts, so it's China. Aeolian dunes. This is another knowledge check. Aeolian always means wind. Lake Victoria. African Great Lakes. So that's what that chain is called. Not a Romance language. English. Romanian is a Romance language. Fun fact. It is in the same group as French and Italian. Largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. Argentina. Brazil doesn't speak Spanish, and Argentina is larger than either of the guys. So it's obvious. Pago Pago. American Samoa. Belize. So you don't see any Spain, and Spain is the common answer, and so obviously that'll tell you something is off. If you know your geography, you'll know it's Great Britain. Again, a lot of this test comes down to kind of just having the breadth required to like answer the different areas or play odd one out. And so like if you know Great Britain had a bit of a presence in Central America, but I forgot which country specifically, because all the other Central American countries are Spanish colonies besides Belize. And so Portugal, France, Netherlands, none of these are involved except Great Britain. And so odd one out again. Densely populated Asian city. Smart city. Okay. And so if you know, then you know it's Singapore. But you can also kind of infer that both city and like nation refers to city. And so this is a nation state. I think that's the term. A city-state, sorry, that they're talking about. And so that's the only one of these that's a city-state is Singapore. Port religious pilgrimage. Mecca and Medina, and I'll check again, both deeply connected to Muhammad. Not true, Fiji. Okay, they always have something like this on the like questions, and so this is another knowledge check. This time I actually am going to have a bit of trouble with this because it has been a while since I've done Oceania, and we are going to talk about problem areas like globally, including Oceania, which is easily one of the worst problem areas for a number of people I know. And so it is northeast of New Zealand. I think there is a language, and English is commonly spoken because it was a British colony. I know it has several hundred islands, but I'm not sure if they're all inhabited. If they have 100, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say it doesn't have over 20 million people. That feels way too large. If I remember correctly, yeah, that just feels way too large. Not located in the Eastern Great Lakes region. So Minneapolis is west of the Great Lakes. Again, plug and chug. Which of these does not line the Danube River? Paris. If you know the Danube River's general flow, it goes from Germany towards the Black Sea. And so Paris is obviously nowhere near that. Largest branch of Islam, that's going to be Sunni. Yeah, okay, I'm on the right question. Which of these countries is located in East Africa? This is Somalia. Again, location. Provincial capital, Quebec City. AFS exchange student, Chao Phraya Songkran Festival. Okay. So, all of these are capitals, so you can't get away with crossing those out. So you kind of have to know that Bangkok is on the Chao Phraya River, and so is the answer to this. So this is on the harder side, I'd say, of these questions. Most valuable crop. Ooh, actually, okay. I don't really know this one either. Uh, I mean, I feel like it's between grapes and rice. So I'm kind of considering the wine industry in Napa as part of grapes. I feel like rice would be more valuable than that, just generally speaking. So, considering it's a staple grain, all of these are true. Yes, it is under a glacier. It is an ancient lake. It is not the largest lake by area in the world. That is the Caspian Sea, but it is the largest lake in Antarctica. And so all of these have in common. They are not these. They are not in large economies in Europe. They are not all in the EU. They are not all dictatorships. And they are former Soviet republics. Okay, so my time turns out to be 18 minutes, which is really not too bad, honestly, considering this is a 50 question test. Um, I actually kind of forgot the amount of time we're supposed to spend on this, but definitely, like, they give you more time than 20 minutes for this. So keep that in mind. You're not going to end up go fast as I ended up going. And so I have had this open here, have not looked at it yet. And so I'll briefly go off cam. I'm just showing my answers. I'm definitely not changing these. Um, and I am going to go ahead and correct this real quick. Okay, so I just went through everything, and I did end up getting one wrong. And so by the scoring system, that would be essentially a -3, so a 97, I think. So pretty good, pretty good. Going back to 48, that's going to be grown in California. And so rice was wrong, grapes was right. Wine is indeed very expensive. And so, and again, Napa Valley, which I mentioned, I kind of overthought that one. So just be careful of that. Um, yeah, yeah, I'd say that was a pretty good run through of CSET. If you noticed, a lot of those questions were really about like capitals, like large like landmarks or landforms. You had a few terms scattered here and there, um, and some like curveballs like the Chow Praya question over here and like the Smart Nation thing, which both are not kind of hard, I'd say. But for the most part, like I'd say that really breadth like of knowledge is just the best general advice I could give for this. Um, yeah, yeah, I'd say breadth of knowledge is really just the best way to go about studying for this. And really, I would say like I'm going to be posting my own practice videos on in terms of study material for people who like more guided stuff. But if you like doing stuff more independently, then it's fine to like just read an atlas for a day. I would recommend National Geographic Kids Atlas, which I'll also link in the description. Um, but yeah, just read an atlas for a day and then just grind practice tests like there's no tomorrow. And you could definitely do that. But I do think just because geography is something really important to learn, like it's better to learn it in terms and for nationals too, because if you're just learning to regurgitate facts, like nationals and IGO are going to be very application based, and you can't just get away with like raw fact memorization like you can here. Like you need to know how to like extrapolate from um, like facts and connect them to that together and connect ideas. Um, and so really just keep that in mind that like fact memorization is really just the beginning of the journey. Yeah, I hope this gives you a better idea of what you are going to be dealing with USGC. Sorry I didn't mention these before. I did not know these changes happened. Thank you to the person who informed me about this. Um, as you can see, there's pre-registration. Um, there are various cost policies that you can find on the website. You can win awards like this person over here if you do end up placing. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. It's been a long video, but really appreciate your support and have a great day.